All right, welcome everyone. This is Q&A. Again, want to welcome everyone. This is Q&A. Someone sent me something, whatever, the other day. I think whatever, something good to something good to revisit. And that is that there was a certain organization, that Jewish organization, that were basically soliciting funds, which, organizations, that's what they do. That's how they, stay afloat. A lot of them, they, get people to donate, to help out or not. But what did they do? They were soliciting funds seemingly from Christians, right? I mean, it's part of who the people they were targeting. So they didn't really ask the question, but they were saying, like, I guess it was a question more, how are they allowed to get funding in the Jewish organization, funding from Christians? And what about, going into a church to solicit funds? So for Jews, 100% that'd be forbidden, right? Jew, not allowed, to go into a church. It's, person would rather have to die than go into a church. So I can't imagine, very hard to imagine they would do that. But, I guess you, I guess you never know. But, money does, crazy things to people, in some ways. So whatever, the person's not sure if they did that or not. I'm just pointing out that, yeah, that would definitely be forbidden, no question. But it gets to a more fundamental question, and that is, let's say, should an organization, Jewish organization, I mean, this is a good example, should they take money from Christians, from idolaters? Should Jewish organizations take money? We'll answer this question first. Should they take money, let's say, from secular Jews? Now, so that we already see there are organizations that do that. Some will say, even if they're secular, it's giving them a merit, so to speak. It's giving them merit for themselves, helping them spiritually. There is a question, though. There is a question why some people wouldn't, right? And that is that, what if they earn some of this money, on Shabbos? Can't get benefit, right, from that money. So not only that, but, if they do give, the argument is, let's say you have secular Jews who want to give money, I don't know, to yeshiva, for instance. So the money that they give, that's helping the yeshiva exist. So you say, okay, so what's the problem? The problem is that money, that money is an issue, because it's as if that money seeps into the walls of the place. Secular person, secular ideas can have an effect. Can have an effect on the people learning there. You're going to say, come on. You're giving them a mitzvah to help. Okay. Right? So some say, well, it's not a problem. As long as, I guess the argument would be, they're getting money and people desecrate Shabbos. That's a problem. The problem, if they made that money or some of that money, whatever, on Shabbos, can't get benefit from it. So, those foreign ideas that people may have can seep into the walls of the yeshiva. Now you're going to say, what's the connection? Because the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says in Ethics of Our Fathers, "Ein kemach ein Torah." You don't have flour, you don't have Torah. What's flour represent? What's flour represent over here? Money. That's what it represents. Right? So if you don't have, obviously, if you have an institution, you don't have money, it's not going to survive. So on the one hand, you'll take people, let's say like my Rebbe's Rebbe, Moshe Schneider, blessed memory, even though the yeshiva was in dire straits, during the war, suffering tremendously. Moshe Schneider absolutely refused to take money from people that didn't keep Shabbos. When there was basically very little food, someone went to a bakery, bring like day-old bread, to the yeshiva. That bakery, was Shomer Shabbos. They weren't open on Shabbos. So even to the extent that they were having such a hard time, he 100% absolutely refused. Because that money's tainted. It's tainted in many ways. Now, what would be if, let's say, that yeshiva, girls' school, whatever it is, would fold? They don't have money. They can't survive. They shut down. Is it better to shut down than take money, let's say, from secular Jews? So some would say, Moshe Schneider would say, shut it down. You don't have money, shut it down. Because there's a negative influence here. Now, people say, come on, what if, let's say, you had secular people donate money. You didn't use that money you used that money, let's say, for toilet paper. I don't know, paper plates. Seemingly, not to buy new books, not to pay salaries for the rabbis there, whatever. But something you need for the yeshiva, no question. Trash bags, right? Tissues, things that, every place would need. So what happens if you donated that? It's all right. They took money and they used it for that. Some people may say, okay, not going into the walls of the building per se. Right? Not going for spiritual things per se. In that sense. So maybe some would say it's okay. Right? In such a case. So one side of the argument is, if they desecrate Shabbos, you don't want that money. That money's tainted. So some will say across the board, you don't take it. God has plenty of other sources. Right? God's a big boss. He's got a big bank account. So God can take care of business. He'll find others. Okay. The other side of the argument would be, you're giving them a schus, you're giving them a merit to help. They get a part of that mitzvah. They get a big part of that mitzvah. So the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, mitzvah goreres mitzvah. Avera goreres avera. Person does a mitzvah, he wants to do more mitzvah. Person, God forbid, commit sins, he'll commit other sins. Right? It spirals. You want to go on the right path, the Gemara says, God will help you. You want to go on the wrong path, God doesn't stop you. So a person going in the right path, he'll continue to go in the right path. Doesn't mean he doesn't have trials and all that. But he'll go in the right path. He'll want to continue going the right path. Right? So maybe it's going to help them. Maybe that'll get them started. So that's the argument. Not worried, spiritual ramifications, and all that. They're helping a person do a mitzvah. In other words, they're helping financially. The institution benefits, they benefit. Strengthens them in Torah mitzvah. Potentially. Right? They feel good. Oh, they're helping a Torah cause. So that side of the argument would say, you're helping them, you're gaining, they gain. That could be their own model. That could be their ticket to the next world. So you're helping them, they're helping you. The other side of the argument says no, because that money's tainted. Now, so those are the two sides. Those are basically two sides of the argument. And there are a number of institutions that, never would have got off the ground if they didn't have secular help. No question. At the same time, there are many institutions here in Israel get help by the government. They used to get more help. So they, leftists got inside and stopped, giving significant amounts. But even the amounts they give, people are going to say, oh, it's so much. And some people, leaving the government said, oh, look, the yeshivas are going to get all the money. You're going to take away money from the army. You know what the percentage, of the budget that yeshivas get? It's a joke. Right? They make it sound like they get 20% of the budget. Lucky if they get 0.25%, if that, college students get more money than they do. The army's certainly going to get more money than they do. No question. Look at all the money they're getting. It's like the argument people say, look at all the people sitting and learning. Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of people sitting and learning. Very good, but including everybody, including kids. How many people over the age, people say, oh, look, all these married men sitting and learning. How many people sitting and learning over the age of 25, full time? Full time. I'd be lucky if it's 10,000. 10,000 be huge. But let's say, I'll be generous. Let's say it's 50,000, a joke. Over the age of 25, full-time learning, not working. So let's say it's 50,000. Right? We'll do the math here. How many? 50,000, right? We're going to divide by 14.5 million. 1 second. Yeah. Equals 0.003. Not even 1%. It's 0.00344. So we'll round it down. 0.003. Look at all the people sitting and learning over the age of 25. The joke. They make it sound like it's, they're getting like 40% over here. That's why, there are people here that will not take money from the government. When they don't take money from the government, that means their schools don't get any government funding. They don't get helped. So they have to raise the money. But why they do that? Again, it's a minority, no question. But why do they do that? Why they do that? Because they don't want the government saying anything about the curriculum. Right? So I remember, a few years ago, no, more than that, probably 4 or 5 years ago, that the government wanted to, interfere in yeshiva education, in the curriculum, the core curriculum, they called it. So they want to interfere. So I said to my Rebbe, see, look what happens. They take money from the government's got to say. As we say here, Bala Meya, Bala Deya. You have 100, you got the money, you got what to say. The Rebbe said, doesn't matter, you're right, but you still got to protest against it. You're still going to say it's not right. Said but they're taking money. He said it doesn't matter, even if they're taking money. And there are repercussions if you take money. There are repercussions. So in England, other places, they want them to teach certain things that go against the Torah. All right, that's the repercussion. Right, so as my Rebbe would say, they're not going to take money for exactly that reason. They don't want them to have a say at all. No, other places disagree. If they're going to help, okay, let them help. We'll give them a merit to help. They're not funding them 100%. Don't get me wrong. It's not like, oh, they're funding the whole budget. Forget it. It needs to give more. It's a drop in the bucket. It's a drop in the bucket. What they used to give. But compared to the budget in general, it's a joke. You know, radio stations will get more. Other things will get more. This is like, come on. The amount they're getting is a joke. But the way they make it sound like, oh, look, you know, they're going to take money away from the army for this. That's the biggest part of the budget. It's always the biggest part of the budget because you need money in the army. You know, for everything going on here. What do you think? 80% is going to go to yeshivas? We're going to live in a theocracy? Halavai. We'll live according to Torah mitzvahs. And that the government will be, you know, government that's going to promote Torah mitzvahs. Halavai. That should be. Not the case. Not even close. That's one aspect. That's one aspect over here. So what's the other aspect here? The other aspect is, okay, what about taking from Christians? What about taking from Christians? So there was an organization that helped people settle in the land, right? Come back to Israel. And they got a lot of flack from taking money from Christian groups. They stopped because they got so much flack. Now, the question is there anything wrong with that? Technically speaking. Is there anything wrong with that? Now here, these people are idolaters. Want to know how it was? Can't be an idolater. Yeah, so the question is, if they want to give to Torah, you know, they want to give to help spread Torah, to help institutions, they're liable for a death penalty. You know, the question is, you're giving them merit. Are you giving them reward over here? Why should we help them? Why should we help them? In other words, we already know they're liable to die. The person will say, well, why can't I take it? What's the simple answer? Why would you want that money? Let the Christians help their own. Plenty of Jews can help Jews. Why take their money? Why give them any merit? Why give them any merit? Ask my Rebbe this question once. Someone who is an idolater, can you take money from them? He said, you're allowed to. Blew my mind. Said, you're allowed to. I said, what about giving a merit to them? He said, it doesn't matter. Right? Now, it could be a very specific case. Right? He's talking about, let's say, for outreach. You're trying to bring more Jews closer to Torah. You're trying to help non-Jews, teach them also. So it could be in that specific case. You know, you're doing outreach. Not everything obviously is permissible for outreach. But at the end of the day, I thought for sure he's going to say, no, what are you out of your mind? You know, how could you think such a thing? Right? So he said, you know, if you're doing outreach, helping others, whatever, you can do it. Right? So I asked, so already has a yeshiva. I don't know, 100 students, 150 students there learning. So I said, would the Rav take money from that? He said, no. He said, not at all. Right? But again, he's going like his Rebbe. So he's going like Ramosha Schneider. You don't want, you know, he'll hold that you don't want money going into that. You don't want that money going into the walls of the yeshiva. You don't want it. To do outreach, again, maybe the case where he said it's okay is if you're doing outreach. Not saying you're doing outreach with non-Jews, but, you know, non-Jews come to you, they want to learn whatever. You know, they want to learn about the Noahide laws. You know, okay. So if you're doing outreach, maybe that's the case. You know, if I would have asked them, you know, what about a yeshiva? Could you take for a yeshiva? Let's say. So for his own yeshiva, definitely said no. So if he holds like his Rebbe or Moshe Schneider across the board in that case, they probably say for yeshiva also no. Why? Because you don't want that influence. So taking money from Christians, different issue over here, right? In other words, why do you want to get, I would say, why, and that's what I asked him. I said, person's an idolater. Clear as an idolater. Not saying the money didn't come from idolatry. If the money came from idolatry, that would be forbidden. That you can't get benefit from. At the same time, what would happen here? I said, but they're liable for a death penalty. They're liable for the death penalty. Why are you giving them any merit? He didn't budge. He said, that's not an issue here. He said, a person wanted to use that money for outreach, whatever, you could. Are you giving them a merit? Doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter. So it could be. Again, I heard that in my own ears. I'll flip my lid. Flip my lid. Shocked. I thought for sure he's going to say, no, what are you crazy? What kind of question is that? Now, it could be he only meant for that case. Doing Jewish outreach, different issue. That you could use it for. Working with non-Jews, this, that, okay. Using it for yeshiva, that's a different issue. So that might be a different issue. I didn't clarify it further than that, but that's what he said. I asked him a few times just to make sure I heard right. I said, what about this and what about that? And he said, you can do it. Now, it could be only he meant that case. I didn't ask him about yeshiva, let's say about a yeshiva, let's say. Right? And if he held like his Rebbe, he'd say no. If you want to do it for this, you could use it. You want to do it for something else? No, that might be a different issue. I didn't clarify that. But for something specific in doing Jewish outreach, he said you're allowed. Now, he is the Gadol Ador. He's the greatest rabbi generation today. Nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. Now, not everyone might agree, might agree with what he says all the time. Okay, this is a huge novelty. Huge. I wouldn't have said it. I would have said just the opposite. I would have said, what are you giving them merit for? He didn't care. He understood the question. He didn't care. He said, that's not the issue. You can do it. I asked him again a little bit different way. Just to make sure I heard it right. I don't know, maybe I'm going senile. Maybe I don't hear right. I don't know. That's what he said. Now, is it the best thing to do? That's a different issue. I asked if it's permitted. Right? Now, this is a little bit different question when we set up here. Because the question was, can you go to Christian groups and fundraise? I asked in one specific case. I didn't ask him if I go to 10 different groups, can I raise money from them? I didn't ask him that. What would I think he would say? Probably not. Right? That would be my guess. Here I asked one specific case. Right? Let's not take it out of context. One specific case. I said, listen, I got 20 people set up like this and whatever, can I do it? I don't know if he told me to go solicit from them like that. Maybe he would. But I asked him in a very specific case. Right? So in this case, if they're explicitly raising money, from Christians, that'd be a problem. Seemingly be a problem. Going into church is nothing to talk about. Right? But I definitely hear the other sides where people will say, why give them any merit at all? Right? That's the issue. right? That's the issue. So if you want to tell me it's a one-shot deal, one person, this, that, okay, that's what he said. You want to tell me a person should be going to Christian organizations to raise money for their organization? I don't think too many people are going to say you should. Right? So someone there points out, very true. You don't hear throwing the Torah, not in Tanakh, going to beg for anything for the nations, right? So that's a lacking emunah. That could be. There's plenty of Jewish money out there. There's not a shortage. There are a lot of institutions, that certainly need help. That's true. But there's not a shortage of Jewish money. Right? So, there could be a question. Why going to non-Jews? Should only go to Jews. Could be a lack of emunah. Could be. It's also a lack where a person's giving them merit where they shouldn't have merit. So you tell me it'll be more difficult. It'll be more difficult, to raise money. Okay. And what would be the case? Well, let's say you're in such dire straits, you might have to shut down. Well, some Christian comes along and says, I want to help over here. And they give you a nice chunk of money to keep going. You're on your last legs. All of a sudden, someone comes, gives you a significant amount of money to go for a while. Right? Should you take the money or not? So someone would say, let you support it. If they don't want to support it, shut it down. You can't get the money. Others would say, no, you can take it. So maybe on an individual basis, maybe that might be different. But if you're actively, soliciting funds, and there have been organizations that have done this. Christians got a lot of money. So, a person can tap in and do very well, potentially. You might have to sell your soul. I don't think that's a good idea, but okay. People do what they need to do, right? In this case, should you be soliciting funds? So that I guarantee my Rebbe would say no. Why do you need to solicit funds from non-Jews? I don't know if he'd say giving them a merit, shouldn't give them a merit, whatever the case is. If it's an individual case, that's a different issue. But organizations soliciting funds from non-Jewish groups, from Christian groups, from idolaters groups, that I can understand would be much more problematic, right? And again, I know one group for sure, so at the beginning, they got a lot of funding from Christian groups. Well, a lot of Christians. I met a group last night. They come to Israel, some of them first time here, a bunch of them been here, many years. They want to do whatever they can to help support Israel. Now, I understand why, because if they're really Christian, they're going to support Israel. So more people come to Israel, that means their Messiah can come. So I get it. They have an ulterior motive here. Not just, they love Israel. What do you mean? They love the Jews. I don't think they're any great lover of Jews. Right? But they have an incentive over here. They bring more Jews here, their Messiah can come. Right? But they have a love for the land. Now, a lot of these people, didn't believe in JC or other way. I don't know. It was interesting. It was an interesting group. I didn't necessarily realize they were a Christian group till the end. But okay. Right, very nice. Wanted to learn. Did a mock Passover Seder. I don't know. I have to get the video, put it up. Right, or whatever. It's fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. And, it's good engagement. People ask questions, different things. In any case, giving them a merit over here. So on an individual basis, I can hear the question. Outrightly soliciting funds from non-Jewish groups, from idolaters groups, that I can hear is a problem. That I can hear is a major problem. And there's one organization, they got plastered for it. And they stopped. Right? Again, let's make clear, there's a lot of Jewish money out there among religious people. You don't want secular people, but they're not going to give to these type of causes in general. It's kind of like, I'm not going to go into this. It's kind of like, one Orthodox rabbi brings in a missionary, his one Orthodox synagogue, right, in order, as a motivational speaker. No, not the same case over here, but why bring in a non-Jew? Right? Not even a non-Jew, why bring in a missionary? Even if it's not a top-tier missionary, so what? Why are you bringing them in? Plenty of great Jewish speakers out there. Religious speakers could have brought motivational speakers. Right? So, a person might have to travel. They might have to travel a lot to try and raise money. There's that. Okay. I would think it looks pretty bad. Depending what your mentality is. I would think it looks pretty bad. You're trying to solicit, funds from Christian groups. They might love Israel. They might love this. Okay. Very good. But their mentality is skewed. Why is their mentality skewed? Christians, they're coming to us. They want our help. Oh, we love Jews and we love Israel and we want to help support them and all that. Well, what might they be thinking in the back of their minds? Where are the Jews? Why are you coming to us? They're not going to necessarily say that because in their own minds, they have another agenda. So because of that agenda, they'll say, yeah, sure, we'll help. We believe in the cause. Why do we believe in the cause? Because what we're going to do is the more we help, the more we help in the land, the more the land gets built up, the more JC can come. Why do you think they want a lot of Jews to come to Israel? Because they know that's one of the things the Messiah has to do, bring in all the Jews. It's not for any other reason. These Bible thumpers say, oh no, the Jews deserve in the land, be in the land and this and that. They want them in the land for that reason. I'm not talking about Noah, I'm talking about Christians. Right? But, I would say this looks really bad. Even if the Christians don't think it or whatever, it looks bad. You're going to them to help your Jewish institution. Now, on the other hand, I would say, why not? They got plenty of money. Unfortunately, a lot of money they use to missionize, to get Jews to be Christians. Okay, but they got plenty of money. Church got plenty of money. So they think, why can't we get a piece of it? Yeah, there's a problem with that. Imagine God looks down and says, you're going to Christians for money to help build your own institutions? Kind of looks bad. But in an individual case, maybe a different issue. But you're not soliciting funds from all non-Jews, from all Christians. Whole different thing. Whole different thing. Right? Someone there asks, can't take money from a Jew that's great Shabbos because they're obligated to keep Shabbos, right? Non-Jews not required or expected to keep Shabbos. Okay. So you accept non-Jewish money, they can't keep Shabbos. That way. Again, the issue is not whether they keep Shabbos or not. The issue is to take the money in general because they're Christian. They don't have to keep Shabbos. They have no obligation to keep Shabbos. So even if they work on Shabbos and they make a lot of money on Shabbos, let's say. So what? That money's not tainted. That money you can use. Not a problem. Unless they made money from idolatry. If they make money from idolatry, that's a different issue. Right? That's a different issue. Totally different issue. Idolatry you can't get money from. You can't get benefit from. So these Christian groups are making a lot of money based on selling, things that are worshipped. Can't take the money. That'd be totally forbidden because the idolatry goes on the money. And when it goes on the money can't be used for anything. Well, someone once told me in a post office, I think where they were in the outback somewhere in Australia, They were telling me in the post office, they sell things that are worship. Idolatry, idols, whatever it is. In the post office. I once gave a class saying that you can't get benefit from that money. Right? In other words, let's say you go there buy stamps. You go there, I don't know, send a package, whatever. You don't pay an exact change. You get money back. That money that you get back could be money from idolatry. Right? So you can't get money back. So if you're in a place where they sell idols, let's say it's the post office, we'll make it easy. So you walk in there, you send a letter, you send a box, whatever it is. How do you pay for it? You can't get change back. It's got to be either exact change or by credit card or by check if they take checks. All right? It cannot be by getting change. In other words, by paying and getting change back. That you can't do. So now you'll say, so that's getting benefit from idolatry. Now, if a lot of these Christians are making money other ways, not from idolatry, that would be okay, in theory, according to that. That wouldn't be the issue. You're not getting money from idolatry. But if you get money from idolatry, that for sure is forbidden. Right, 100%. Right? Someone asked, let me see, there was another question here first. Can I know I donate to St. Jude Hospital? Yeah. They would be allowed to. Even if it's a Christian hospital. A Christian hospital is not idolatry per se. Even if they have they have this guy hanging out in every room, okay. That doesn't mean, if it's a place of worship, that's one thing. It's not really a place of idolatry per se. Right. So that would be an issue. And even, and such a thing, the money's not going to that anyway. Right. If you knew, let's say the money's going, to buy statues and other things, yeah. That would be forbidden. If you know 100% that's where the money's going. But if it's going to other things, right? If it's going to other things that are permissible, equipment, whatever it is, then that wouldn't be an issue. Right? That shouldn't be an issue. As we always say, where does charity start? At home. So if a person's a Jew, they help out Jews first. Doesn't mean you can't help out non-Jews. Right? But we come first. We definitely come first. So if non-Jews, Noahites, JITs, whatever, they should be helping support Jewish institutions, whatever they can. Can they give to a non-Jewish institution? They can. They're allowed to, let's say a non-Jewish charity. They'd be allowed to, as long as it's not idolatrous. And a relative helped raise $100 million. $100 million for a certain charity, a non-Jewish charity. Certainly wasn't all her money, even though she was very wealthy. She helped other people, donate all this money. $100 million. Can't make this up. $100 million. And whatever, she passed away, she had the big funeral. We gave charity to other things. Well, think about it. Imagine she's being eulogized. And one of the things someone there was eulogizing her for is she gave this money to this charity. She helped raise this money. Now she knows the truth now. She's in the world of truth. She's going to be yelling and screaming. No one's going to hear it. That's not going to be such a merit for me. Now, let's say she gets some level of merit for it. Okay. But imagine where that money could have gone. Where $100 million in the Jewish community could have gone? What it could help? Yeshivas, girls' schools, needy brides. I mean, that's a huge chunk of change. So why did God give it, help her do that? I can't answer. But to give it to a non-Jewish charity as a Jew? It's a good thing I'm not God. That's all I can say. put on my funny George Burns glasses and my funny mustache, I would have a field day with this person, even though they were relative. Use them like an absolute punching bag. Say, like, are you off your cotton picking head? You help raise that money for a non-Jewish charity? And you could have helped Jews? Right? So what's God doing over here? People can do whatever they want. They got free choice. But he says, yeah, I'm going to take all this money, have this person raise all this money and throw it right in the garbage. Now again, it's not idolatrous. It's not a Jewish charity. It's not idolatrous. At least not that I know. So she'll get credit. She'll 100% she'll get some level of credit. Okay, she'll get credit. But imagine if she would have donated to the Jewish community. And not for just like planting trees in Israel. Or other things that aren't really worthwhile when it comes to charity. I can't even imagine, that could be part of the atonement right there, just the pure embarrassment. She'll get credit, not say none. 100% she'll get credit. She'll get some level of credit. Maybe she got a D. D- in giving charity. Not a total F, right? We're not going to give her a total F. She got a D-. Can't imagine that embarrassment. Can you imagine what, again, there'll be credit to be gotten. She'll get credit, some level of credit. But look what could have been. Look at that money where it could have gone. In a proper way. Shouldn't have the merit. God didn't give her the merit. That's kind of nuts. I would think. But again, some people leave a lot of money to their dog. Yeah, I've heard that also. Different thing. Okay, people do funny things. Someone here asked, God gave Shem, Abraham, Parnosa, right? Livelihood. While they were doing to teach Torah, what happened? Well, God made a promise to Abraham. He said he's going to give him everything. Right? That was the first test. Leave your country, place you were born, your family. Leave everything you know. Right? Well, that's a little bit different to what happened to all the students he converted. And he taught. He and Sarah taught. And all the converts, what happened? You don't hear anything. Right? What's the answer? Answer is they left. They left. They didn't leave anyone back in charge. In other words, the master was gone. So what happened when the master was gone? They fell off the face of the map. I don't know. He didn't put anyone, in charge to teach others, whatever it was. But it wasn't him. It wasn't his wife. So all these converts, whatever, went by the wayside. So yeah, God made a promise here. That was the test. Is he going to go and he's going to listen? Who says he can do outreach in Pago? Doesn't know the language, doesn't know the lingo. How's he going to know if he's going to be successful or not? He doesn't. God makes him a promise. I'm going to give you children. He doesn't have children yet. I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to give you money. Okay, but he doesn't know where he's going. Doesn't know where he's going. People ask, Moshe Rabbeinu, God made him rich. How did God make him rich? Through the tablets. He was able to sit, he was able to learn Torah and teach it. Because people say, charging for Torah, they wouldn't complain about other things. Oh, charging for Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? We're going to see the Mishnah Pirkei Avos one day I get there, probably in the next, 120 years. When I get there, but it's supposed to only teach Torah for free. And what's the example of Moshe Rabbeinu? Very good. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't need the money. Moshe Rabbeinu was made rich. And what about the priests? Priests were also supported. The high priest supported by the priests. Right? Third thing, we have to have a lot of money. They took care of him. Community took care of him. Imagine You ask the question, you got these secular organizations, the UJA, the UJC, United Jewish Appeal, United Jewish Congress, they raise like almost, $500 million a year. God gives them a lot of money. He just pushes them aside. What are all these yeshivas and schools? Heads of yeshiva, they're what's the word? They're they're just like fundraisers. They should be in the study hall teaching. That's what they should be doing. Doesn't mean they don't have their own fundraisers, but someone's got an organization that they go out themselves. And a lot of people do. I know, where I pray, on Shabbos, head the yeshiva's out for another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, goes twice a year for about, 3 weeks at a time. Goes all over America. Right? I shouldn't say all over, a few places. Right? In order to collect money. That's what you got to do. So why not make the yeshivas, people support it with tons of money and this and that? For different reasons. One possible reason is, you're going to pray a lot better when, the chips are down and you're trying to support it. The yeshiva's like a pit, the money pit, right? You need a building, you need to pay rent, food, electricity. I mean, a lot of expenses, huge expenses, right? Depending on how big it is. You always need money. So part of it is, why not give them the money all at once? So head the yeshiva can sit there and learn. They don't have to worry, have this burden on their head. Right? So why is it that that's not the case? One reason. So they go to different parts of the world and they, they talk, they give strength to people. They speak in public. Right? They give over their knowledge. So they give over, they get. Everybody gains. We're not giving all at once. Some people have reasons, some people not. And there are places also, let's say, charge a lot in tuition. So they build up a name. So, that's already taken care of pretty much. A lot of the expenses. Doesn't mean they don't have to raise other money. But it takes a lot. Say it takes a lot to build a village. It does. No question. No question at all. Well, it's got to be done. In Kemach Ein Torah. Right? So, and look what they're investing. They're investing their blood, sweat, and tears into this. Giving over as much as they can. Preparing classes, working with students. It's a lot. That's worth that's worth millions. No question. Saving lives. Molding lives. Can't put a price tag on that. And then people complain. So I understand a person's going to charge a lot. I get it. That's extortion. Okay. But nobody haggles unless you're a Jew. A plumber comes to your house. You're not arguing on the price. I remember I had a guy fix my washing machine a number of years ago. Right? He came, took care of it, very good. And then like a week later, something else went. I said, "Oh, my covered?" He goes, "No." Totally different part. I said, "Okay." There's no haggling there. Right? I thought I might get a break a little bit, but okay. You're not gonna, these things you don't argue with. Education, people don't argue. People take courses. What, you think you're gonna get it for free? No, we're gonna get it for free. Right? People, it's cognitive dissonance. Right? Some people say it's extortion, it's a scam, it's this, get a real job, get a real life. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm good at this. It's fun, it's enjoyable. Helping people. Right? Say it's extortion. I can say it's extortion for charging, an arm and a leg. That I can hear. But in the end, someone's going to come and they can't pay. Well, you're going to turn them away? You can't turn them away. You're not going to turn them away. But in the States, I'll just tell you, tuition's expensive. Rebbes that teach, they don't get a lot of money. They don't make a lot of money. They do side jobs, other things. And the tuition goes up and whatever, that's where people get squeezed. The most expensive part of a person's budget. Okay. That's where it goes. But, people complain they just don't have money or making enough money. Not saying they don't have to pay. That's a different issue. When I was in New Jersey, the cost has probably gone up by now. But the cost was like $400 per month per kid. In other places outside New York and New Jersey, it's probably double that or more. It could be like almost college tuition. Right? But that's what it is. Between that, food and your car or mortgage or what do you call it? Or rent, that's it. That's where your money goes. Extras? Come on, who's got extras? You send your kids to camp and arm and a leg also. Right? It's not cheap to be a Jew. So there's no question. But at the same time, you gotta put your best foot forward. That's what we have to do. Parnasa, livelihood comes. God gives some people more, some people less. It sometimes goes up and down. There's two guarantees in life: death and taxes. Not necessarily in that order. Livelihoods, you get someone invent the pet rock and make millions. Someone invent the spinner things can make millions. Other people, can have very high IQ and struggle. God can make people struggle. Why? Because he wants them to pray better. He wants you to say you're the one in charge. You're the one who runs everything. Everything goes through you. And that, poverty is also a test. It's also a test. You're going to be thankful for the little that you have. Okay, I just been, reading something earlier. Everything is about bringing God into your life. And he's the one in charge. And we don't know necessarily what he wants from us, but he desires a lot. And he's the bottom line. You want you to be successful, you will be. If not, and you're going to struggle and this and that, then that doesn't mean necessarily forever. Some people, a great rabbi once told me, he's like, in my case, I'll never have money. He's like, not in 10 lifetimes. That never happened. It's just, it's the way it is. That's the way it is. He said, in your case, okay. He said, basically, your wheel's going to spin again. He doesn't tell, he didn't tell me when. Right? He said, people like you'll bounce back eventually. Right? He said, by me, it's not going to happen. Certainly not according to nature. Right? But, it doesn't mean you don't put your best foot forward. But as we always say, you put your best foot forward, no guarantee. Totally no guarantee. Right? Abraham didn't have any problems with livelihood. Isaac, same thing. Read this week's Parshas Vayetze. You see that what happened with Yaakov, he worked like a dog. No pun intended. For his two wives, and all that. And Lavan kept changing how much he's going to give him and this and that. So he came up with this idea. Right? I'm going to take the, all these sheep or all these animals that are spotted, this and that, that's, going to be mine. Right? This whole thing, right? It looks a little bit strange. And when the world is, going on over here. But what happens? Exactly what he said was going to happen. And he took his entire wealth. He took everything from Lavan. Right? And the family was saying, like, you're going to let him go? He just took everything. He took everything you worked for. God made him rich. God took care of them. Even with everything that happens to Joseph, look what happened to him. Became second in command to the king. Had a lot of difficulty, no question. A lot of suffering, no question. God made him second in command. Didn't have to work. Now to go out and do other things. God put him second in command. Doesn't mean, again, doesn't mean he didn't do anything. Right? That's a whole different thing. For certain people, God's going to take care of their needs. Or people are going to say, I don't need that much. So I can rely on a lot less. It's talking about Torah giants, like the Chofetz Chaim, for instance. Lived, he had no money. He was very poor. They had like rickety chairs, a rickety table. Someone, a wealthy person from America came to visit him, in Radin. And he tells the Chofetz Chaim, he says, this furniture, so let me buy the Rebbe more, I'll buy you new furniture. Buy you nicer things. The Chofetz Chaim said, where's your furniture? He said, I'm just passing through. I'm just visiting. I don't take all my furniture with me. The Chofetz Chaim looked at him and said, yeah, I'm also passing through. I'm also passing through in this way. I think, some people too busy, redoing their bathrooms. I don't know why I have to redo bathrooms. I don't know. Right? People are busy. Thinking, they're going to live forever. Fame, right? They think they're going to live forever. Okay. There's a limit over here. We live in a lap of luxury. Some people have more, some people have less. But the Chofetz Chaim's right. We're only passing through. But can we live to that level? No. We're spoiled. Very much spoiled. So if a person would really know how to, live on a lot less, we'd have a lot less issues. You can say it's inflation. Is this okay? This is what's supposed to happen in the generation before the Messiah. Prices go up, inflation, all kinds of things. It's also true. But, Mordechai Pokromansky, blessed memory, said after World War II, the test before World War II was poverty. So he told my Rebbe, he said, this generation, certainly in America, that the test is going to be wealth. Wealth is also a test. Because the test is, are you going to help others? Or are you just going to keep in your pocket and waste money on all kinds of things? Because if you have the ability to help others, you're in trouble if you don't. So I saw it brought down somewhere, I don't remember exactly where, that I saw brought down once many years ago, 1 in 1,000 wealthy people make it to Gan Eden, make it to paradise. 1 in 1,000. Why? Because they have the ability to help others, they don't. So it's held against them. It's held against them. So they're both tests, there's no question. If a person doesn't have very much, are they going to be happy with the little they have? If a person has a lot, are they going to be conceited or not? Are they going to help others? Right? So, the people that God needed to be the base of the Jewish people and to get the word out to the masses, God took care of their needs. No question, took care of their needs. Right? They didn't have any worries of livelihood, per se. But you see, great rabbis, the last generation, what do we see? A lot of them had it very hard. Very hard. I'll give one example. There was a story of one of the great rabbis that pretty much went in hiding, and he asked, certain Rebbitzin, about something in preparation of food. And anyway, the Rav of the city came, started asking him some questions, like, what are you doing? How can you hold such a thing? Is that? So, this great rabbi wouldn't tell him who he was. So he started asking him, like, why do you think this is permissible? Without going into the subject matter. Why do you think you're allowed to do this and that? So he says, I learned a little bit, I have proof. He said, okay, let me hear your proof. Let me hear what you have to say. And he started saying, like, quoting from this and that and the other thing. And he asked him, the rabbi of the city said, all right, I demand, tell me who you are. So now the gig is up, so to speak. He had to say who he was. He's a rav in the small city and blah, blah, blah. So he basically, gave him an opportunity to be, a rabbi in a big city, proper wages, different things. And he came to the city for Shabbos. So his wife, the Rebbitzin had, had women over, on Shabbos day, etc. And she, what did she do? She put a little bit of sugar, like sugar cubes into their tea or coffee, whatever it was. She made all these fancy desserts and cakes and this and that. They had no money. They were pretty poor. So people thought, oh, come on, she doesn't know how to cook. Oh, she just gives us a few sugar cubes, this, that. So her husband had to say, this is a big honor that she's giving you because we basically have nothing. For us, like a couple of sugar cubes is a huge thing. It was after that they made him rabbi of the town, and he lived a life because my Rebbe comments on the verse that it says that says by Yaakov. So Yaakov wanted to quote unquote relax. He had all kinds of difficulty in his life. Right? So Rashi says, what happened after that? The whole thing with Joseph. It's like he didn't have a life because of all the terrible things going on, all the difficulties he had in his life. So he didn't have the semblance of life at all The Rebbe tells that story. It was like this rabbi and his wife. They had like almost no semblance of life because they were very, very poor. So the question is, what's your mentality? Are you thankful for the little that you have? Or as a person complains, say this is hard and that's hard or whatever. Right? As we said, wealth is another issue. It's also a test. You're going to help others. Right? But, when God wants people to be out there and helping others and that, if he wants them to be successful, the money will flow. Doesn't mean, they'll have millions, whatever, money will come in. They'll be able to do what they need to do. Right? But sometimes there's a lot of pressure. Bills to pay, people have to be out there. You always have to have money coming in. It's taxing. Right? So why doesn't God make it so easy? He doesn't want to. He wants them to pray harder. He wants them to be better. He wants them to, quote unquote, to earn it more. Instead of giving out one shot. Potential. Well, that's what it is. But, person wants to have an organization. Yeah. Ain't kemach, ain't Torah. You don't have flour. You don't have money. You can't do it. Again, sometimes it'll be better, sometimes not, sometimes, who knows what. But that's part of it. And so what's the reason? What's the main reason? Because evil inclinations, why should you give him so much money? Why should I help them over here? Make them struggle more. So he's got claims. Oh, he's only doing it for Gaiva. He's doing it for his own, he's conceited over here. He's doing it for himself. He's doing it for honor, for glory. Evil inclination got a lot to stay over here. He can make life very, very difficult. So, if things don't go as well, it could very well be. He's got some claims, and God says, okay, I'm going to make him squeeze. I'm going to get them squeezed over here. I'm going to make it much more difficult. And there are times it's better, times it's not. But it's basically anyone, that I heard this a number of times. Someone goes to raise money for whatever, for their organization. The ones, let's say it's a yeshiva. So, they got to be strong in their learning. They got to take on more learning, more hours. That's where success is. Success comes from prayer. That's where it comes from. You have to put your best foot forward. Okay. Right? But if the people you're trying to help, the organization you're trying to help and they're messing around, you're not going to see success. Because in the heavenly sphere, God's going to say, why should I help them over here? Look what they're doing. They're wasting time. They're, when the mice are out, right? Everyone's playing over here, right? So, when the head is gone, head person is gone, so everyone else, plays around. That can't be. The only success the person's going to have is through them. It's definitely through them. Interesting enough, the Jews came out of Egypt. I thought it makes a good point. They came out of Egypt wealthy. Tremendously wealthy. What happened with the wealth? They used it for idolatry. They used a lot of that wealth for idolatry. So Moshe Rabbeinu says by the sin of the golden calf, he says, God, you want to destroy the Jewish people? It's your fault. Imagine, Moses says to God, it's your fault. Why is it God's fault? Because he made them wealthy. He gave the Jewish people unbelievable wealth, and look what they used it for. You're going to say it's only some of them, it's only the mixed multitude, whatever. But they used their wealth for the wrong thing. So Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses himself, has a claim. Says, look what happened over here. You can't blame them, you did it. Yeah, they had great wealth. God said they're going to come out with great wealth. Wealth is a trial. What's our mentality? Do we think, oh, I did it myself and I'm this, I'm that? I did everything, or do they thank God for all they have? And God forbid they have the ability to help someone they don't want to. That could happen. Like they know I'm not going to do it. Okay. But, let's say they could. Person goes to them for help for whatever. Let's say the person got a bad track record or whatever. Let's say they go to somebody and that person could help. They don't want to. They're going to say, well, why does God allow them to help? Because they don't have the merit. They don't have the merit, but imagine they get upstairs after 20 years and say, hey, you could have helped over here. You might have an excuse. What if God doesn't think so? So look, you could have helped. You could have helped in a major way. You didn't want to. You were selfish. You don't have, let's say you don't have an excuse here. What about when someone's got, plenty of money, they could help? Skin off a duck's back, as we would say. Not going to affect them. Not going to affect them. So why wouldn't they help? They don't want to. Very simple. So what happens? First, they go to someone help, they can help, and they don't want to. So you say they're not the right shalir. They're not the right messenger. You put your best forward, okay. They don't want to help, it's their choice. Right? They lose out. They 100% lose out. Over here. Someone here points out that's true. They in Egypt, they owed them for all the work. That's true. That 100% is true. They're getting paid back for all the backbreaking labor and all that. That is true, but God made a promise. Remember, the Torah says God made a promise they're going to come out with great wealth. So you say, you're right, it wasn't charity. They owed them the money, true. But wealth caused them to cause the sin of the golden calf. Even if they were owed the money, it doesn't matter. That's what caused it. That's what Moses is claiming. That God himself gave them the money, okay. Gave them the wealth, they deserved it, whatever, but that's what it caused. Right? That's what it caused. Someone here points out, even idolaters can gain merits. They can gain merits. Question is, should we give them? Should it be done through us? Right? That was my argument. Maybe it shouldn't be done through us. Or let's say, who says we should give them merit? So it could be they deserve the merit to give. Could be. Could very well be. I'm asking a fundamental question. Forget God, take him out of the picture for a second. Should we give them the merit? That's the question. So you could say, God will say they deserve it. Okay. Maybe. Won't argue that. Could be. Could be. God knows what's in their heart. Okay. But remember, God has to reward somebody even if they're an idolater because they did a mitzvah in this world. He has to reward them even if it's going to not come out in the next one. So if that's true, then why are they getting this merit? Why are they getting this reward? Because they have grain across the street. Because they did some mitzvah, God has to reward them. Because they're going to wipe them out in the next one. Okay? Again, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's in people's hearts. And we don't know how, how God looks at it. Also. What about third person donations? What about money made from idolatry to buy something from a business? Doesn't matter. Anything, let's make clear, anything that money touches from idolatry, and that goes to something else, and something else to that, it's still money from idolatry. Can still be, if the person giving the money, doesn't have any of this money mixed in, that's a different issue. But if the money's changed hands and it still has, it still has the status of idolatry money, that doesn't matter how many times, hands it changes. It still has that status. That status never leaves. Right, in that case. Right, so in this case, that money for idolatry was used to buy a business. That business is called an idolatrous business because that money is tainted. So you can't take that money. 100% you can't take that money. Right, because it's tainted. Again, there's only two things that money transfers like that. One of them is idolatry, one of them is sabbatical produce. If someone worked the land in Israel in the sabbatical year, which you're not allowed, and they sell fruits and vegetables, and there are stores here that will sell fruits and vegetables from sabbatical year produce, which you're not allowed to do, but okay. So if you buy something in that store, if you buy, let's say it's direct. I'm not going to say they relied on certain leniencies, whatever. Let's say they sold sabbatical year produce. Then whatever you buy in that store is either by credit card, check, or exact money. That's it. Right? Those are the only two things: idolatry and sabbatical year produce. That the money, that the forbiddenness goes on the money. That's the only thing. It's nothing else. So if a person took money, from someone who made their money in idolatry, that money went into the business, so that business has money from idolatry, right? So you can't use it, right? That would be forbidden. It's Gehenna only for Jews. No, sinful non-Jews could also get rectified in Gehenna. They could have a portion of the world to come, as long as they didn't transgress any of the Noahide laws. They're liable for death penalty. And even if they did, let's say a non-Jew, because pretty much most people here, who are non-Jews came from idolatry. Idolatry, one of the 7 Noahide laws, prohibition, and is death penalty. So if there's no repentance, then that's it. You're toast. So if a non-Jew seriously repents, then they can have a portion of the world to come. Doesn't necessarily mean they won't have to go to Gehenna. They won't have to get rectified. They probably still have to get rectified. In Gehenna. Especially if they're liable for death penalty, but not all the Noahide laws that a non-Jew would transgress is liable for death penalty. Right? So if there's repentance, that might not be enough. You still may have to suffer, before getting into the next world. Yeah, let me see. There are other questions here. Somebody asks, what are the stones? Not sure what you mean over here. What stones in those weeks Parsha represents? Trying to think. 1 second. Oh, there was a thing where when Yaakov's at the well. Yaakov's at the well, and there is a this well was plugged up or whatever the case was, and no one could move it. So Rashi over there says, interesting enough, Yaakov very, very strong, and he took it off like you take off a bottle cap, right? You take off, like soda bottle, you just take it off. Shows its strength. Shows its strength, so to speak. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, or something else. There is something it speaks about next week's parsha, where before he goes out, to go against Esav, he lies down, and there are all these rocks together, and each one is fighting, so to speak. That also needs further clarification. They're fighting because they want the righteous person to have his head on them. So God puts them all together and puts them in one rock. Right? I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Someone asks, won't it happen again that when Jews come out of the nations, go to Israel and leave with wealth? That's the test right now. And we know that if you look at history, Jews that were thrown out of any country, right? We start in Spain, start in other places, that when they were thrown out of any country, the country, basically got demolished. Country, nothing became of the country after that. And you see, just use Spain. Spain's one example. Jews were thrown out of Spain 1492. That's when they were thrown out of Spain. Barbanel, one of the great commentaries. Barbanel was like the chief of finance. Whatever, they basically, told to leave and get out. So what happened to Spain after that? Spain was a world power. They were a world power colonization. All over the world. They threw the Jews out. You don't hear about Spain anymore. Spain became like a rinky-dink country. Never became a world power after that. right? But a lot of places, expelled Jews. The countries didn't become very much after that, right? So yeah, when the Jews left, they didn't, they weren't allowed to take anything with them. It's all that, certainly they were thrown, and not only, well, they weren't thrown out, they were taken out to be killed. That's a different issue. Definitely a different issue. But you know that countries that have expelled Jews is a disaster for them. I mean, look at Poland. Anything that happened in Poland? Haven't done anything in the world. Still anti-Semitism, no Jews there. So you got Germany. Okay, Germany is coming back. Somewhat of a world power. But what are the other countries? Slovakia is what's going on over there. Russia's been a disaster, total disaster, in a lot of ways. If they're considered a world power or not, but whatever. They got a lot of their own problems. There are a lot of places, that expelled Jews or gave Jews a hard time, and the countries went to pot. Totally went to pot. Got demolished. So the question is, won't happen again. Jews come out of the nations, they're going to leave with wealth. I don't know about that. When the Messiah comes, Jews are going to leave. They're not going to take their wealth with them. I don't know that they're going to take, how they're going to take their wealth with them. When the Messiah comes, they have to leave. Whoever survives. Whoever survived the war of Gog and Magog, they have to leave. So what are they taking with them? Not that, I don't know. They say today, it's getting harder and harder to take, big chunks of money out of the bank. So, hard to imagine later on when the Messiah comes and things are really upside down, more upside down than today, that Jews are going to be able to take their great wealth out, if they have wealth. You got a place like South Africa, you got people living like kings there, even though South Africa, the rand's not worth anything. It's like 14 to 1 to the dollar, 15 to 1, whatever it is, but you can't take money out. They allow you to take a certain amount out. Now, some people, took money out through paintings and sold paintings and whatever, but you can only take a certain amount out. Right? I don't know, other countries like that or not, right? But I have heard stories, not necessarily conspiracy theorists, but I definitely have heard stories. People want to take out like serious amounts of money. They can't. They're going to take out a certain amount, at a time. So, do I think they're going to take great wealth with them? I don't think so. It doesn't make sense that they would, but when you live in the time of the Messiah, that's, you're living in a totally different plane. So it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter that much. But wealth can cause a lot of problems. We see that. I think that's clear. Wealth causes a tremendous amount of problems. As we mentioned before, that, if what I saw is true, that 1 in 1,000 wealthy people are going to have a portion of the world to come, that's kind of hard. So regardless of what's going to happen later, think about what's going to happen, in the world of truth. You didn't give proper charity. Could help this, could help that. Money's a gift. Like many things, money's a gift. You have to know how to use it. Person has to know how to use it. For the right thing. And there's one thing for sure: the evil inclination is going to work really hard against it. Really hard against it. So it's hard, but we also have to train ourselves, even if we don't have a lot of money. We have to train ourselves to put our hands in our pocket to give whatever we have, even a small amount. For a person who has very little, gives $10 or gives $50. That's a huge thing. That's 10 times better. Someone's got tens of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and they write a check for $100. It's nothing for them. If they wrote a check for $100,000, $50,000, okay, it's significant. But if they give a check for $18 and they could have helped a lot more, and they don't, that's on them. If they're giving a lot of charity anyway, okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. It's it's absolutely crazy. It's like trying to squeeze milk out of a lemon. You squeeze the lemon, you're not going to get milk, right? Right. So, if you see people with money, and they know, let's say you could use help, and it's not on their radar. Not that you waste money, not this, not that. They don't want to give for whatever reason. They may think, how much longer am I going to live? Right. I may need it. Okay. People have their own agendas. They have their own agendas. God gives them the ability to give, they'll give. If they don't, God doesn't give them the ability to give. Like I said, you can have wealthy people. Someone comes to collect money, they give them $10, $20. And they give a lot more. So, God is going to judge it how he's going to judge it. Right? God is going to judge it how he's going to judge it. But if someone has the ability to give, they should, within their means. And we're going to help our own. And that's not discrimination, because everybody does that. Italians will help their own. The South Africans will help their own if they could. The British, they'll help their own. They're not helping others first. So we come first. We're going to help our own institutions, needy brides, all kinds of things. A lot of needs. That was the question. One of the Romans asked, one of the rabbis, I think it was Tornus Rufus to Rebbe Akiva. And he said, if your God can, be Mefarnes everybody in the entire world, he can give them livelihood, why the poor people? Good question. So Rebbe Akiva said, why there are poor people? So rich people can have a portion of the world to come. So rich people can help them. People who have money can help them. So the poor people gain and the rich people gain. And people who have money gain. But you have to have a merit. You have to have a merit to give. And, there are people, people can make all kinds of excuses. But the bottom line is, if it's not in their mind to help, they won't help. Well, you got to sit there and beg. Sit there and beg. Come on. They don't want to help. They don't want to help. That's what it is. It's unfortunate, but there's a reality. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. Just every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman. I'll be on Orthodox Conversion Judaism. You can send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wish everyone a good beginning of the day, middle of the day, or almost end of the day.